Holding somebody is really personal. I can't even count how many people have said to me, this is the first time in my life I've been held, ever. These are people who've had sex hundreds of times. They've never been held. But when I say hundreds of times, I mean hundreds of different people. Should have made that a little clearer. Holding's actually more personal. No kidding. So it's a pretty easy thing to get confused. It's not uncommon to hold somebody and there's a look in their eye and you go, what's bothering you? Well, I'm getting kind of confused. There's only one thing that they're confused about. It turns into a sexual thing with them. Why? Reflex training. The only guys don't, from age 4, they've studied, from age 4, we pretty much quit holding boys. We hold girls still. Boys, forget it. Be a man. The kid's 4. Be a man. We don't touch. We don't touch and we don't talk. And then we get married. I was 40 years old before I realized, oh, the story doesn't matter. 40 years old before I realized we don't speak in restrooms. Men. Ever. 2 women were talking about a conversation they had in a restroom. I went, whoa, back up. You talked where? We were just talking in a restroom. And you weren't arrested? We learned this very early. We do not do this. We live isolated emotional lives. And then our wives come along and say, well, why don't you just tell me how you're feeling? And he's going, what the hell is she talking about? And then he gets in the locker room and he goes, my wife said, why didn't you talk about your feelings? And the other guys are going, yeah, we know. They don't know what you're talking about. They really don't. None. Well, it's hot outside. So we're raised without touching and talking, and then guys have sex for the first time and go, oh my gosh, why didn't somebody tell us about this? That the secret to happiness is this. So they figure, more of this. Beer and sex. Perfect formula. But then it wears off like all forms of imitation love do. Now what do you replace it with? Then you have a husband who checks out because he's tried everything that there is. And now it just doesn't have the same effect. See? So if the only touch, and women have a similar experience with men. The only time they're touched by men is when some guy wants something, right? How many times have I had this conversation in my living room? Does your husband ever touch you other than when he wants sex? What I love is the lack of pause. No. The husband then immediately goes, well, there was that time in March 2003 when I accidentally touched you. So if the only time there's touching it's followed by sex, then there's a natural association formed. So it can be a little confusing in the beginning. That's why it's safer, less distracting would be a better way to say it, I think. Guys hold guys in the beginning. Guys, really, you ladies, you just, when I hold a guy for the first time he's ever been held, and there are women in the room, all the women are bawling because they never imagined that this was possible. And usually so's the guy. He's only been waiting for this all of his life. And I love the guys who go, ain't gonna hold me. And he's lying there just going, thank you. I'm looking over at his wife and going, $5. Cash. But don't turn your groups into holding festivals. Don't do it. Puppy piles. No, it's a very personal thing to let somebody touch you.